Hello everybody and welcome to another Uniko video with me, Bev, the owner and designer of all things Uniko. Welcome to the first product introduction for our August release. Yes, we have just had Christmas in July with a fabulous release with all things Christmassy, but I was super organised and I was designing these at the same time, but I felt that they deserved a little bit of their own limelight, but then I couldn't wait to share them with you, so that's why I have another release for you this month. And another reason is because I am on holiday at the beginning of September for a couple of weeks, and it wouldn't have been till sort of the end of September, beginning of October that I actually got to release them. And honestly, I couldn't wait that long because, as you probably know, the mid-century modern collection is one of my favourites, and adding these products that I'm introducing this week will just stretch your supplies even further. So today we have background builders, mid-century modern, and this medium-sized set just packs a punch, full of these fun like bubble frames and pebble frames, some lovely curved lines that are similar to those in mid-century modern florals, but with a little bit of a difference, and these funky lines, which again very similar to other stamps in the collection. So originally, back in the day, when I first launched the mid-century modern collection, we had these two background blocks, mid-century modern and mid-century modern 2, and then we had mid-century modern florals, which is a builder set to create your florals, but obviously it has a lot more uses other than just creating flowers. And hopefully you'll see how these will all work together in harmony, creating fun cards and backgrounds, and you name it. I'm sure you will come up with a combination if you already have these in your stash. And then later on in the series, I added mid-century modern frames. And I've got some ideas that I'll be sharing, pairing this one with this one later on. And then we had mid-century modern birthday, which has some other fun elements that will pair wonderful with it. Obviously there's the Christmas range and we have the sentiments. Now I do apologise that there is quite a bit of the mid-century modern collection that is currently out of stock because I just can't keep the stock in. I feel I just order enough to cover everyone's requests, and then there's always more people, when they see it's back, they want it, and they don't necessarily put down the notify me back in stock. So it's always helpful if you fill that in, because I can order enough for everybody. But yes, so I apologize that there are a few out of stock. Then we had obviously the mod background builders as well, so, and there's the stencil range as well. So I thought I would create a card with you shortly using this set, but I'll talk through quickly the 3 cards that I made and have shared on the website blog. So on this one, I used this funky line, which you can see is a little bit different. This one's more of a all over pattern, and you will be able to sort of pick up a little bit of this sort of zigzag line. So it will sort of pair nicely. I'm sure there's a way. And then I used the frames these sort of bubble square frames, just to add a little bit of interest. And I shared this one on socials earlier this morning, and people have the Jetsons comic cartoon series vibes from it. And the sentiment is a combination. The happy is from Mid-Century Modern Wreath Builder, which is currently still in stock. There are a few. And the birthday from Everyday Sentiments. For my next card, I really wanted to use these sort of pebble bubble shapes to create a fun background. And instead of stamping and colouring, I decided to stamp them straight onto coloured cardstock. Now normally when I fussy cut, I add a bit of a border, but for this one I cut right up to the stamped line, and I think it gives a really cool effect. I used the long background, this long strip here at the top, and the sentiment is just one from Simply Said Blocks 2, another of my favourites. It fits in with so many different styles. And then I wanted to show this sort of flower building option. So I use this large sort of like half oval and this half circle and these funky lines to create sort of a really abstract floral. Now you could easily combine the Mid-Century Modern florals lines with these and vice versa, so I'm sure it will create even sort of more floral options. So let's get to making a card. So I'll move those out of the way. This is the colour palette that I have chosen today. I've chosen Spice Cider, Stardust, Tide Pool and Dove. Now I've never used all these four together, so we shall see how this turns out. And I'm going to be pairing it with the Mid-Century Modern Shapes stencil as well. So I'm going to use these solid images here to stamp a random pattern on my base card. So I'm just going for a one layer. I've gone and cut my card. It's 10.5 by 14 centimeters, which is roughly an American size card. I'm just looking for my stamping platform. I know I have them here because I have unpacked since the workshop, but it is still a little bit chaotic in the studio to say the least. So I am just gonna adhere this. I'm gonna go a little bit away from the edge, so I'm just lining it up here. Hopefully it will stay where I want it to, because I want a few of the shapes to overhang. We're going to really create a lovely background. So I'm just going to randomly place these shapes, not really think too much about it. And I'm going to stamp, go upside down with that one. So I'm going to pick up all three at once, but I'm not going to do them all the same colour. I'm just going to move my inks off to the side, just so I'm more in view for you to see the stamping. So yeah, I'm almost organised again after the absolutely fantastic workshop in Warrington in the UK. So we actually had 25 people. Originally we were only going to do 24 people, but we had one lady who was desperate to come along with her friends because her original plans had fallen through, so we managed to squeeze one more in. So we had 25 lovely ladies to craft with, and it was amazing. It was a really busy day, There was a lot to pack in, but I think everyone enjoyed it. Everyone said they enjoyed it, so that's always good news. So Tracy and I are already planning dates for the next one. We're looking at different locations in the UK. So yeah, lots of things in the works here. And my dove does need re-inking, so I am just going to use my larger pad here and just be careful that I don't go over onto the other shape. There's a little tiny hair there that was stopping the ink. So I am just going to go over again. So when I use solid shapes like this, I do like to use my stamping platforms. So as you can see, if your ink pad isn't as juicy as you would like it to be, you can re-ink the stamps and then stamp them again over the top so you get a nice solid impression. So I think my dove still needs a little bit more. Now the ink seems to be pooling a little bit on this stamp, so often when that happens, it's sort of like the manufacturing sort of residual from it. So what I often do is use my cloth. I'll just take the ink off first, and then I use a pencil eraser just to go over the top. Even though I've used this stamp a couple of times, it takes a little bit of use sometimes for the sort of the manufacturing process to go. So the ink is sitting a lot better on that stamp now that I've inked it again, so we should get a nice coverage this time, and there we go. So the stamps can be a little bit sticky as well to start off with. I'm not too worried if my cardstock moves too much, because I am going to move the stamps again, and we're going to ink them in different colours. And change some orientations. And I'm just sort of like spacing them out a little bit. Just to hopefully make an interesting sort of pattern. I think with the mid-century modern, it's a lot about having fun and just experimenting with composition and pattern and just having fun with it, really. Obviously, you can find a lot of mid-century modern inspiration online. If you really want something sort of to go off. I do save a lot of mid-century modern inspiration off Pinterest. I definitely think it does inspire me when it comes to creating. But yeah, just have fun, see how it stamps, see how it works. Don't be afraid to just go for it. I had a little idea of what I wanted to do today, but not a mega like thought out, know exactly how it's gonna look card. But so my Tide Pool is quite a juicy ink pad, so again I'm just gonna go over that stamp with my pencil eraser, and hopefully the ink will sit a little bit nicer. But my pad is really juicy. It's one I re-inked before the workshop, and I'm not sure if we actually used Tide Pool. but hey ho. So as usual, the brand ambassadors, we have our blog hop today, and they've created some absolutely fabulous inspiration using this set. They've all come up with different ideas and colour combinations. It's always lovely to see how they view the stamps and how they're inspired to create with them. So this set, along with everything being introduced this week, will be available on Sunday at 9 AM BST, so Sunday the 10th. So not long to wait. So we have, trying to think, this set, 3 background blocks and 2 stencils to introduce. And I have to say, I love all of it. I don't think there's anything that I don't, obviously I love all of it because I designed it, but you know what I mean. I think there's something for everyone in this release, especially if you like the mid-century modern. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I don't know, it just really makes me happy, this collection, this sort of style. It does remind me a lot of when I was growing up. My mum had a lot of sort of mid-century modern furnishings, wallpapers, sort of accents on the wall. I believe our clock was very mid-century modern. So yeah, it does spark joy with me. So I'm just trying to balance out the colours a little bit here. I'll stamp these 2 and then decide what colour to do that little one in. I think I might do it in the tide pool to balance the tide pool a little bit on the card. So I do try to do things in 3s. Obviously we've got 3 shapes here. I know we've got 4 colours, but I'm not too worried that there won't be a lot of grey. Because we're going to do a little bit drawing through the stencil. So I'm going to use Tide Pool here on this little one. And then we've got one little gap sort of to finish off with over there. Like so. It is rather juicy, this Tide Pool ink. I don't normally like my inks too juicy because I don't like when they pool. I do find it a little bit frustrating. It sometimes doesn't give quite as sharp edge as it does when your inks are less juicy and you have to keep sort of re-stamping. So I'm going to use this large one here, and I'm going to do it in the spiced cider, because we've only used that a couple of times and it just balances that colour out a bit. I'll take these ones off, just put them to one side. Hopefully I'm in decent view. I always I sit here creating and then I forget that you might not be able to see what I'm actually doing. So we'll go ahead with the Spice Cider. So this one obviously needs re-inking. I'm not 100% sure that I've got the ink refill, so I might actually have to put a sneaky little purchase in this week. But we'll see. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's not a colour that I actually use a lot. But I think it is a lovely one for sort of if you're going for that retro vibe. We'll do it one more time and that should do. And then I'm going to take the panel out of the MISTI. And we will use the magnetic board for the stencil part. So I've got the Wendy Vecchi Make Art magnetic board. It does the job of holding my stencils in place. Now I'm thinking, so this one's full of lots of shapes, sort of in the mid-century, that you'll see in mid-century design. And I really fancy using these sort of like triangular shapes. So I'm just going to use these three over by stamping to create another sort of layer of interest. So I'm going to hold them down, this down a little bit, and I was just, before I came on, I was looking for a decent fine liner. So I've just picked one out of the drawer, and this one is very fine. So all I am doing is just drawing inside the shape, and I might have to just go over a couple of times just so I get a nice stenciled line. So this was an idea from Wiebke, who used to be on my design brand. She used to be a brand ambassador back in the day. She's from Germany, and she came on the team when I first started doing stencils, and I'd never thought of this idea of drawing through the stencil. It was totally new to me. It was, well, stencils pretty much were new to me. It was something that I hadn't really used much in paper crafting, so seeing other people's ideas of how to use them was very inspirational. And this is something I don't do very often, but I should do more of, just to stretch those supplies. So I'm going around this large shape first. And just having fun with it, just overlapping it from the other shapes, just keeping my stencil in place with these magnets. I mean, you could get a totally different look if you used a different thickness of pen. But I quite like the fine line. So I'm just gonna, I was just using my cloth here, my microfiber cloth. It's not mega damp today, but it's damp enough just to wipe a stencil, just so when I replace to do another shape, that the black ink that might have stayed on the stencil doesn't transfer onto my card base. And this fine liner should dry fairly quickly. So I'm just going to try and overlap some of the shapes a little bit with the where I'm drawing through with the lines, as well as going over the colours. And again, I'm sort of thinking of things in threes and odd numbers, because I find that more appealing to the design eye. So you can add as many or as few as you like. It's just about creating a fun background. I haven't fully decided how I'm going to finish the card, but obviously with a sentiment of some sort, but I am kind of thinking I might use one of the mid-century modern frames. But then I'm thinking I might not use that because it might cover up too much of the fun background. So I might not finish this card completely in today's video because obviously I don't want to keep you too long, but I will share the final result of which sentiment I do decide to add on release day. As I say, I don't like to keep people too long, but I just want to show you these sort of products in action with other stuff, because I know from previous experience people look at, especially the mid-century modern florals, they look at it and think, well, what can I actually do with that stamp set? Because it just looks like a load of shapes and sort of icons and lines and things, but when you actually see the set being used, you can actually see how, I know, I see where you're going now. You build the flowers, you build them up and you create them. So I had that a lot at the beginning. And that is the fun background. Obviously you could add more colour if you wanted to, but I quite like how funky that is. We will, where are we at? Can't quite see. So I was thinking for one of these frames, probably this smaller one. And obviously one of the sentiments. So we'll go for a standard happy birthday. And I'm just gonna stamp it on here. I just need a block. And again, we'll just stamp in black. So these are quite easy to cut out, quite easy shapes. And then, see, I told you I was just kind of winging it today. You know, when you have, I often have a rough idea, but it's not until I start creating that I actually finally decide how I want it to look. I apologise, my husband is just trying to phone me. I always forget to turn the sound down. make sure that's fully inked. And then we've done the happy birthday. And we'll quickly fussy cut that out, and then I'll just show you what it will look like. And I probably will add some colour to the frame. I do actually have a couple of colours of, I don't know how closely they will match to the colours I've used. So I wouldn't want to do it straight away without testing. Separately. So I'm just using these Stampin' Up snips. They've actually discontinued the snips. Unfortunately, I think it's a manufacturing issue, which is a shame. Hopefully they'll come up with something else, but there's obviously lots of different types of sharp scissors online, different manufacturers these days. But you know, when you just get really comfortable with using a certain product, it's a shame when they discontinue them. So here I'm just leaving a little bit of a border around there. So then I'll bring that back in. I know it's not urgent as I'm at home with the children. So I might just flip this round and pop it up this way so it's not hiding too much of the colour, and then I'll adhere it with foam tape. But I am going to go ahead and choose some colours. I don't think these will be quite the match. They might be if I do it a couple of times. It's close, so it might be these two. But I need to find a yellow, so definitely those two, but I want a colour to match the Stardust I've used. So these are Stampin' Up markers as well. But as I say, I will share the finished card on release day, which is Sunday, when these products will be available on the website. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed all the inspiration, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another introduction to share with you. Bye for now.